What's going on, good people? This is your guy JD, and it's another edition of CAP. And what we're gonna do today, we're gonna what? We're gonna cultivate.
What's up? What's up? This is your girl Erica, and today we're going to accumulate and
And together we will all
prosper.
prosper. It's good to be back in the booth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. May has been like a busy month. We hope the mothers enjoyed your Mother's Day. And it's been hot, it's been raining, it's been a lot of things going on in May.
That is true, and May is almost out of here because this is Memorial Day weekend. So
Yes.
time waits for no one, as they say.
And then it'll be the month for y'all. Go ahead, fathers. Go ahead.
June, next month is June. NBA Finals getting ready to ramp up here in a moment. So let's get off into the buzz today. The buzz topic, the first buzz topic that we have today, it's about former prosecutor for Baltimore, city of Baltimore, Marilyn Mosby, and she was sentenced to 40 years for allegedly mortgage fraud for some money she took out of her retirement account. I'm gonna let you expound, and I'm gonna touch on it, Eric.
You said you're gonna let me expound. I was gonna let you expound. But I was actually ready to touch. But listen, so yes, she was sentenced to, well, they were trying to get her with 40 years after the money fraud and everything. And it was, I felt like it was them trying to teach her a lesson, like so often, so many things that happen in the world. And let's be real, some of them are kind of like in a racial sense. They want to teach you a lesson. And it seemed that was the basis of this with Marilyn Mosby. They wanted to teach her a lesson. I understand they had a petition to go out as well, because she has done some great things. She was instrumental in the Black Lives Matter cases back. It's been a few years back, I want to say in 2020.
Yeah. Well, just to not interrupt you, but yeah, she's a prosecutor that was integral with the Freddie Gray case against the cops.
Right.
Back what happened to Freddie Gray, and that was where the retaliation came in. And even though the cops got off, a lot of people didn't like the fact that she was going to prosecute the police for what happened to Freddie Gray, because we all know that case was totally negligence and it was some wrongdoing on the police department's part. And so when it all boils down, when she took out some money out of her retirement account, and she was giving advice that people do all the time, somehow it became an issue because it was her. So they tried to make it look like stuff was done fraudulent because she took out some money on her retirement account during the time when COVID was happening, which a lot of people was doing things like that.
Exactly.
And for it to be, they was trying to bring 40 years when you got a ex-president that's got 88 counts against him. Once again, it just shows you how this nation is in black and white. But glory be to God that she didn't get sentenced for 40 years. They gave her 12 months house arrest, and then supervised release. But that's all it was. It was politically motivated because she's one of the top black female prosecutors in the country, along with how the prosecutor for Georgia, Fannie Willis, is.
Yeah.
And how she's receiving death threats and all this stuff. So the whole thing was really a sham. It was just, like you said, a way of trying to make an example out of her, but it didn't work. But it doesn't mean that they won't continue to try those things against any black prosecutors that are progressive, especially black women that are progressive in trying to weed out any criminality, white supremacy, and all of that. So
the thing is too, that even in all of that, when she was getting the money and getting the loans and all of this, something that she tried to make sure of, because this was in 2020, she tried to make sure that She was okay to get this. She asked questions and they still came back on her. So she was trying to make sure she was like doing it by the book and doing it correctly, and they still came back on her. So yeah, it was basically just trying to teach her a lesson. But
Yeah.
I'm so glad of what I was actually kind of surprised. I love the fact that they did give her just, 12 months and already time served, but I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I was surprised.
Yeah. So the next buzz topic is one that's been going on for a couple weeks now.
Hmm.
The whole P Diddy, the first video with him back in 2016, abusing Cassie, which was gross to see, and then second part was his apology video last week that he came out. So what is your take on that?
First of all, it is never okay. Abuse is never okay. And then in the beginning, it was like quietly shutting it off. They settled it or whatever. And then to actually see that video and throwing things at her and kicking at her, that was horrendous to say the least. But the apology, um, I don't know you since I don't know actually we don't actually know these people, but to me it did not seem sincere. It seemed like it was, let me say this to be able to kind of like, save face, but it really was just pointed towards him. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't, um, and I understand it could be very possible that he's not able to actually say her name, but he didn't give reference to her at all. Like, as far as this being wrong that I did to her or anything like that. So it just seemed like something just to like do, just to try to get people off the back and make it seem like, he's showing remorse from it.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that video.
Well, I'm gonna say this before we move on to the next buzz topic. I'll always be a fan of some of the music that he produced, but once again, you gotta separate the person from the artist. My guy, late guy Tupac, used to try to tell folks about Diddy, and but what he did to Cassie was utterly disgusting. Anytime any man jumps on a woman, that's not cool at all. Um, and he's saying he was effed up in the video. Of course, yeah, what he did was effed up or whatnot. Um, and in that video from the hotel, uh, you could tell that when he was jumping on it, he kept his hand on his towel to make sure it didn't fall off. So I don't believe the premise about being intoxicated, but who knows? But anyhow, that is what it is. And then the apology, that was just Diddy, trying to save face for himself. Yeah, he could not say her name legally, but he didn't make reference to apologizing to her for what he did without having to say her name. So it was more so to try to, I guess, save his brand. But it's a lot more coming from this. So it's some more dark days ahead for him. But when you put yourself in that position, eventually what's done in the dark comes to light. So that's unfortunate that another black celebrity that's had a musical influence on the culture as a person has done some horrible things, and your money can only hide you for so long.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's how that is with that. Bad boy is gonna become sad boy pretty soon. So moving on to the next topic, LeBron James and his wife Savannah were attending his son Bronny James tryouts for the NBA. Give your take on it.
Okay. So I was listening to some things that LeBron James said. And the way that I feel, his son is 19, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
19 years old. And here is a young man, forget, some may say he's following in his father's footsteps. Either if that is the case, this is a dream that he has. So many people have dreams of things that they want to do. We've had them, and we have these dreams that we want to reach and everything. But when it comes to our young people, when they have dreams, it is really important to me, and I can't stress this enough, to be behind our young people, to build them up, not try to tear them down, not try to, um, you know, keep them from wanting to pursue their dreams or whatever. When you're 19 years old, especially if you're good at what you do. Um, so the fact that LeBron is saying that people who are grown, like so much grown, and you have a teenager basically trying to pursue their dreams, and you're saying all these derogatory things that could possibly deter them from even wanting to go further. Thankfully, I don't believe he would do that. But just the thought of that this being a young person, one thing that I did like about LeBron James though, is he said this about his son, but he also brought up Caitlin Clark, and he didn't say anything derogatory towards about her, because people look at Caitlin Clark and she's trying to pursue her dreams, but you're not getting the same thing on both sides, in my opinion.
Nah, it's always the elephant in the room, man, when it comes
There
to
you
the
go.
skin color. But with LeBron and his son John Bronny, man, folks have been getting opportunities for years with nepotism. But anytime you happen to be a successful, I'm just gonna say it, a black man or a black woman, and you're doing the same thing for your children, it comes under a different microscope. It shouldn't. There's plenty of CEOs of companies that groom their sons or daughters to possibly, if they follow the family business or whatnot, or do something similar to what they're doing, and they have connections, but they still gotta show themselves approved. Bronny played basketball. Was he the greatest college basketball player? No, but he has good skill sets, and this is a dream that he's wanted to do outside of his father being who his father is. So you're gonna have people who are gonna be critics. LeBron experienced it first coming into the NBA over 20 some years ago. Um, you know, it won't be quite that same with his son, but it's still some people, because they're gonna holler nepotism. But hey, it's okay when some people do it, and it's a different response from others. But I wish him nothing but the best, and he has the potential for it to be the first time a father and son duo plays in the NBA at the same time. He makes some team's roster in the NBA draft next month. So shout out to Bronny and LeBron and his wife Savannah. All his kids are athletic and talented, because his daughter plays volleyball. His other son Bryce plays basketball in high school. So good job to both of them. So
Well, well. So those have been some great buzz topics, though it's been a lot going on. So it is nice for us to be able to come back and be able to have another special guest here at the CAP podcast. Um, I have watched this young lady grow. Like, wow. She is the youngest female and African American legislator in Tennessee, representing District 33. Sits on several boards: MSNBC, ProPublica, Washington Post, and New York Times. Alumni of the Central High School, bachelor's in political science with double minors in sociology and intercultural studies, regional director for Center for Black Educator Development. And you guys, this is just some of the things, just a smidget of what she does. You guys, let us welcome to the CAP podcast, Senator London Lamar. We are so happy to have you
Hello. I'm
here.
so excited to be here. It's
congrats.
going to be a great podcast.
Oh, it's going to be great. I'm so ready.
I'm ready too.
I'm ready. Now, London, tell our viewers a little bit about not just Senator London Lamar, but London.
London, you know what? I don't get I often asked that question like, who are you and what about you outside of politics? So thank you for asking that question. So first and foremost, I was born and raised in Memphis in the Hickory Hill area and grew up in Whitehaven. And I'm Memphis to the heart. Like, I think that our city has so much potential. And when I think about how it shaped me, I'm really grateful for Memphis and the culture that it's put on me in a very positive way that I think has really helped me stand out as I've traveled the United States, doing the work that I'm doing. The most important title I have beyond senator, though, is mom. I have a 9-month-old baby boy who is just the light of my life. Like, I love him so much. Like, I really enjoy being a mom. And he's just growing so fast. You know, you talk about, you remember me as a little girl. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, I just had you yesterday, and you're already 9 months. Like, what's going on? So, and in the spare time, like, I'm just a fun person. Like, I just like to travel. I like going to the movies, hanging out, just doing cool stuff. And so that's who I am. Just all around kickback girl. Just want to chill and hang out and
You
live my
regular
best life.
people.
Huh?
You regular people.
I am regular people. Like, I am probably uniquely, I'm not a bougie politician. I'm not like, you know, over the top or think I'm better than everybody. Like, I'm really for the people and then like to be on the ground with people. Cause I mean, you can lose this title tomorrow, but it's all about who you are inside. And I think that's really important for me.
And I think that's what's important to the people who watch you, who see you. And, you know, so often, being that, as I said, you're the youngest female African American legislator. And sometimes people are looking for you to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're looking to see, okay, what is she going to do now? Is she going to say the wrong thing? Is she going to do the wrong thing? Is she going to party too much? You know, they're looking at you. So,
Well, I'm saying I'm not giving you nothing to look for. I live a life where I'm put it out all in the open. Yeah, you are gonna see me at a lounge or a club or whatever, and you can come ask me for constituent problems, or we can have a drink together. Like, you know, I definitely think it's important that as far as my brand as a legislator to present a very authentic presence. You know, again, I'm not gonna be fake. Like, I had my election night party at Club Love. Like, you know, I do that because I feel like we put politicians on this unrealistic pedestal. Like, you have to be, you know, just don't do anything. You know, you just got to be this very perfect person. And that's just like unrealistic. And it's just not who I am. And so, you know, if you want to say she's at the club, and I'm going to tell you, I sure was, you know,
Right.
but I was also at the community kickoff. I was at the community block party. I'm in the legislature fighting for your rights. I'm also making sure I'm fighting for black businesses, black moms, black babies, a safer community. And because I'm in the community with the people,
Right.
I'm not over here looking down on, you know, so we got to change that culture, and we got to push back on our own people being too judgmental as well. Like, we're all human. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's God. So of course somebody's going to mess up.
Right.
You know, like, I lean into my flaws. I lean into my mess ups. I think that what makes me a good person is to own what you're doing and your mess ups and then try to make them better. And so I think we got to realize our politicians they're people. They're not perfect. They're going to mess up. They're going to do something, both unintentionally or some intentionally, whatever that is. So we also got to make sure we lead with grace. And that's not just for us. I think that black people, we got to lead with grace with everybody in our community. And once we start leading with grace and you know, giving people the space in the community to mess up and keep pushing and rebuild, then I think that mentally wise, we can start, you know, coming back together and stop poking at people.
Right.
Right. Well, that's definitely what you said is definitely true. So I'm gonna get off to asking you the first question. What influenced a young London to want to engage in politics?
That's a great question. So I think it's just how, like, my family helped raise me. So when I was a little girl, I think one is just who I am. I'm nosy. I like to be in the mix. Like, I'm just one of those type people. So my grandmother and her friends, they had a social club when I was younger. And they used to have club meetings every month. They used to plan parties, community events, and trips. So when they have these club meetings, I would oftentimes be my grandmother standing around, being busy, watching them playing things and stuff. So I was looking at these groups of women come together, create community, organize all of these different events. And so I got that from my granny. And then, of course, my mom, she had me in church in your children's program and all of these different programs and different community organizations because I was a busybody. So she had to keep me busy. So when you cultivate, the exposure with my grandmother and the exposure my mother gave me into one, you kind of like started unintentionally grooming a more responsible person. So I also was just interested in like folks' topics. So it's so funny. Do you remember how Oprah used to come on every day at 4 o'clock? The Action News 5 come on right after at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Right. So that was homework time. So my mom used to watch Oprah every day. So I'm sitting there with her doing my homework, but by virtue listening to like what Oprah and the news is talking about. So I started listening to like world problems or issues and stuff, and I had opinions, and so they kind of just came together when I got in school. Like I started getting involved in school groups and clubs, and trying to be the leader and building relationships with teachers, and I learned that from my mother and my grandmother. So what that taught me was that I can be engaged in the community that I was in, no matter what. And so I kind of just always felt that need and that leadership to do that. And so as I continued to progress through school, that's what it was. And so my senior year of high school, I was like, I was junior class president, but I was a senior class officer. And President Barack Obama was running for president. And like, that was like my parents and my grandma always voted. I used to go with them to vote. So voting was also like something my family already did. And it wasn't like a option. They did it. And so to me, I grew up knowing voting was an obligation, not a option. My mom and my grandma was like, the whole world was into this election. I was excited too. And, so when Barack Obama won president my senior year of high school, I decided to apply to college as a political science major because I was so inspired by his win to see a black man. And what was even more astonishing than Barack Obama being black was the fact that his wife was chocolate. Like she looked like me. Like that meant something for a young black girl because we never thought that, Barack Obama would be president and then he have a chocolate wife as the first lady. Like that's crazy. And so like I thought I wanted to be an engineer because I was good in math, and I was like, if I was a black engineer, I'd make a lot of money because they go pay minorities to do STEM. But I was like, screw that, I'm gonna follow my passion. But if Obama can do it, I can be in politics too. And less than 10 years out of college, I was already in office.
That's profound.
Yeah, and it's very inspiring because I think the fact that you said that, especially for our listeners to actually hear that, it's so much that we have a passion for and that we're trying to do.
Right.
And to actually, as we were just saying with LeBron's son, to actually go and pursue that and pursue your dreams and be walking in that. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So important to be
Thank
able
you.
to do that. So that is wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, I wanted to ask you, I did have, with my first question, I was going to ask you what was your greatest accomplishment, but in you talking, when you were just talking, especially even about your son, I was like, I already know the answer to that
My
one.
greatest, yes.
Yeah, I already knew the answer to that one. So let me go with my second question. I understand you serve as the regional director for the Center for Black Educator Development. How did this role come about?
So I became the regional director for C.A.P. A friend sent me a job posting. I was job hunting at the time. I looked at it and I said, okay, this is something I can do. I've already previously had a career in education already. So it was basically allowing me to take the skills that I had and do it in a higher executive position. And I was able to do that. So the position lasts for a year. So we just concluded it yesterday. But what we did was run a summer and an after school program at select schools in Memphis to teach literacy skills to kindergarten to fourth grade students. And by teaching them literacy skills, what we did was we got college students and high school students to be our apprentices or the teachers. So we're giving high school and college students real on-site real-time teaching experience to encourage them to one day become teachers. So we targeted Black and brown students, like mostly primarily African American students, and then also Hispanic students too. And we allowed them to like teach the literacy curriculum to the K through fourth. So you're kind of solving two problems with one program. We one addressing the literacy deficit that our children are experiencing by giving them tutoring in the summer and after school every day. But and then also creating a Black teacher pipeline by influencing high school and college students early on to give them experience to teaching, to create a positive experience for them around teaching. So hopefully we can now get more Black educators, because the truth of the matter is when a student has a Black teacher who is Black, they're more likely to graduate, just simply because as African Americans, we come from similar cultural backgrounds and we can relate and most time empathize with many of the problems that students come to school with. A lot of times, the reason why students are not performing is not because they have some sort of intellectual difficulty or challenge.
Right.
It is because they're hungry. They are, somebody in their family got shot. I remember one of my
Right.
kids, she couldn't focus because her dad died. He was killed. They have experiencing violence at home, like all of these other issues that's going on that's blocking them from being able to focus on the learning. And so, giving our students the ability to see that it's not necessarily that they can't learn, is that as a teacher, you're also becoming like a confidant for them, a trusted person. I think a lot of our students leaned into that responsibility.
Yeah.
And that made me feel good, because I think as a Black community, like we're going to have to lean into that our community is hurting right now.
Exactly.
And go back to showing that grace and that love and that trust. And if we kind of take a collective responsibility that it's all our role to heal, not just ourselves, but each other,
Right.
then I think that we can see like things are going to progress and get better.
And it's just like, the saying that sometimes children are not going to come close to you till they know how much you care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Children are smart. They know who loves them and who don't. And a lot of times our teachers in the school system are our babies' mothers, fathers, grandmas, trusted person, because they may not have that at home. And if you at school with your teacher all day for 8 hours a day, you become that support, that safety person for that child.
Right.
And so that is why, as a senator, in my role, like I want to continue to advocate for more funding, more support for teachers, for education, because I understand how vital it is to students. And I think we need to reform the curriculum and how we teach education, because the world is changing and we need to get our children ready for the job force by bringing in more vocation, more tech skills, more coding,
Right.
all of those things. But teachers got to be paid more, because they do fill all of these different roles. Like teaching needs to be like paid like executives. They are the executives. To me, they run society.
I would agree with
And I
that.
think that we pay a lot of other people way more than they deserve. And I think our teachers deserve higher pay.
Definitely.
That's interesting that you say that, because I'm a former educator and I agree. I've worked in the school system as a teacher. The last position I worked in the school system was as a behavior specialist. And then of course as a coaching sports or whatnot. But that's definitely definitely on point with that, because teachers, I mean, have a major influence on student lives or whatnot. So what I want to ask you is this: is what would you say is one of your biggest challenges and what's one of the biggest challenges in politics on the state and local level? And I'm sure there's quite a few, but what would you say is one of the biggest?
I'll speak to my level right now.
Yeah.
I say one of the biggest challenges I think that we're experiencing on the state level, and let me be specific. When I say we, I mean in pushing Memphis forward.
Yeah.
Let me talk about Memphis. It is that the state is controlled by individuals who are not from Memphis, who don't like Memphis, and who have preconceived notions of who our people are, what our people deserve, how we should get it. And that boils down to political party affiliation, race, and gender.
Yeah.
Those and region. Those demographics make it very hard for me to put Memphis in a winning position because of the makeup of the Tennessee General Assembly. It is supermajority Republican, supermajority male, supermajority white, supermajority conservative. So what a lot of the solutions that Memphis needs is going to take bold progressive leadership. And when I say progressive, I'm not talking about the quintessential progressive. You believe in, free this, everybody this, like typical Democratic issues. That's not what I'm talking about, because everything progressive isn't progressive for Black people. What I mean progressive and bold leadership is it is coming up with data-driven, evidence-based ideas that are going to have large-scale impact and major investments to take us forward. And they attack it in a prevention way or intervention way and a solution way. So much of the legislation, the bills that come out the legislature, they're band-aid solutions to many of the problems that we have in the city of Memphis. For example, let's talk about crime. They believe in punishment only. A conservative Republican, they believe jail, 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 heightened penalties, make this a felony, blah, 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 blah. That's going to get crime down. We're going to continue to make you serve longer in jail. We're going to keep you in jail, and that's going to be the solution to solve crime. No. That is very low-level thinking, easy solutions to a large-scale problem that you created over decades and decades and decades of a disinvestment in our city, predominantly because it's a African-American held city. And that's both under Democrat and Republican leadership in Tennessee. Let's be very clear. What bold progressive leadership is saying is that this past year in the legislature, instead of getting $1.6 billion tax break to corporations, you could have used $1.6 billion in investment and prevention programs or intervention programs in our communities, not only in Memphis, but all across the state. And that would have made a greater impact. But because you don't see the fruits of your labor tomorrow, or you can't see, like jailing somebody is like an instant form of punishment. It doesn't seem like an important investment to you, or it is our own responsibility to heal our community. And I take 50% of that. We're going to have to do some own self healing.
Right.
But at the same time, let's not ignore the fact that underfunding our schools, over policing, letting corporations, drive the prices of living in a non-economical way where people can't afford to live, which increases homelessness and poverty, hasn't played an impact into public safety.
Right.
To ignore those things, to me, is frustrating. And so that goes back to the things I just talked about. Is I am upset that bold, progressive, evidence-based leadership can't be implemented because of Republican, white, male, conservative leadership dominates the state.
And by you saying that, I get everything that you're saying because I understand exactly what you're saying. When you look at, even though I'm not a native Tennessean, but I've been living here for many, many years, when you look at the breakup of Tennessee, and I went to school at Tennessee State University, shout out to HBCU, TSU, but Nashville and further east, the everything changes. Everything gets more conservative, more the Caucasian population is higher, and the mindset is different. Now, once you come further down this way, come 40 West, and you hit the Delta, you hit Memphis, the melanin gets higher. But then the perception of Memphis is thought in a disproportionate way because of stereotypes. Now, stuff goes on. Stuff goes on like in every city, but you get that mindset. So, quote unquote, religious conservatives, and I put air quotations on conservative religious, because it has nothing to do with spirituality or the real love of God. Because if you can't love God and you don't love people, whether they look like you or not, and these folks, that's how they operate. And when I say these folks, that's how those folks operate. You know who I'm referring to. So I get it, and that's what makes the state every election when it comes presidential or anything else flips red. Because once you get on the other side of Memphis, you head towards Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, all up that way. Down the line, they're going to pretty much look at everything in a conservative, white Christian perspective.
Exactly. And let me talk about this because put a pin in because I know all of us are Christians.
Yeah.
Good, and I'm a Christian too. But what I'm frustrated with this new wave of conservatism is that I feel like they're manipulating religion for an alternative agenda. And because most people are politically uneducated, they don't get the complexness of governing, right? Most people don't. That's why you elect people like us. So, it's no slight or anything, but they playing on people's ignorance, and they're you doing it in the name of religion. Because when you really, because when I really think about some of the policies that my colleagues push and they support, like God would never stand for that. It goes against many of the things that are in the Bible. Like Jesus fed a whole mass of people, what, 2 fish? Like they're not doing that. They're cutting resources. They're not feeding people. They're figuring out how to cut feeding people.
Yes.
They're not using the extra money to go to like folks on the ground who need it, the poor. They're giving it to billion-dollar corporations, people who are already rich. Most of those folks don't even live in the state of Tennessee. So it frustrates me because they want to make the Bible the state book in the name of God. We pray before session. And I'm thinking to myself, if God was here, would he approve of the legislation that you pushing and how it's impacting the people? And I think not. And so I tell them all the time, we're using religious now as political tools. This is not about God. God fed his people. God took care of his people. God forgave his people. Jesus died on the cross to give people second chances. We act like we don't believe in recidivism and restorative justice and things like that. So, I challenge them on the ideas of religion all the time, especially when it comes to that pro-life argument. Yeah, okay, you don't kill babies. I got it. But what about the babies that's already here? Where are their support? Why is childcare so expensive if you want all women to have kids, but we can't afford to watch nobody, can't afford to have childcare so we can work to give our kids these things? Or the fact that like our hospitals are not taking care of black women enough, or we're dying pushing our babies out, or the fact that we're dying after birth, or the fact that our schools are underfunded. Like, really, what's pro-life? Is it really just pro-birth? You trying to push more white women to have babies because your population is dying?
True.
Or you trying to really think about the duration of somebody's life? And that just doesn't start in a womb when we trying to push out the baby. That means the duration from womb to the tomb. How we're going to create a good life for every citizen from the duration of the time that sperm enters that egg to they lay their body in the ground. That's pro-life to me. And I hate that we're using religion to push these pro-life, pro-people, conservative argument. It's not right.
I would say this before Erica asks your question. That whole premise of religiosity, patriotism is just a disguise for racism. It's what it is. The same people who would go and cheer at a UT Vol game, football game, with predominantly most of the young men on that team look like myself,
Right.
or my son or somebody, be the same ones go in that booth and vote for anything that's going to benefit those who just look like them and not for the bigger population of their community. And then they have the audacity to say how much they love God. It just doesn't add up.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going on, not just here in Tennessee, but really all across the country. But I know I asked because of it being on the local level and the state level, but that's happening all across the country, especially in the South, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. And when you look at, and I'm a big sports guy, love football and all of that. But when you look at the SEC schools and everything, they done cut affirmative action, they've cut DEI. But when it comes to recruiting our sons and daughters to play ball for the PWIs, predominantly white institutions, we're not going to touch that, because if it wasn't for them going there, then their teams It wouldn't be much going on.
That's why I'm excited these athletes are finally getting paid for their
Well,
likeness.
yeah,
Like, you
Right.
know, these colleges, especially these PWIs, are able to take advantage of the brand and the athletic skills of these athletes prior to now. They're getting paid
yeah,
for
because
their
everyone's
brand.
not going to go pro.
Absolutely. But I do want to say this, and off this. This is not a secret. Like, you hear Trump's 2025 agenda they talking
Yeah,
about.
Hmm.
They're literally telling you in your face, we're trying to implement a very Christian nationalist agenda, and they're doing it in our face in real time. And I guess I'm frustrated also with my community. Is like, wake up, it's in our face. They're literally
Yes.
telling us what they're doing, and we're sitting back, we're talking about we're not going to vote, we're talking about we're not going to be engaged in our community, and they're literally giving you the plan in your face of how they're going to wipe you out.
It's two things about that. Then we can get into the next thing. One, they're sitting there doing that right in your face. But then what happens is they bring about the little distractions that people
Mm-hmm.
focus on,
Right.
like P. Diddy.
Right.
You're
Right.
focusing on all these little things that's going on that's popular, that everybody else is
Rap
talking
beefs.
about. Exactly,
Right.
the beefs, because we're always talking about the beefs. And P. Diddy,
Right.
if it's anything that's going on. And the worst part about it, though, is it's us who are talking about these things. And so we're not really focusing on the big issues that's going on because we getting closer and closer to Jim Crow days. And
Absolutely.
you know
Like,
what I'm saying?
literally.
We're there.
Literally. We're like there
We're
in real
there.
time.
And so people are getting distracted by these things, and you're not looking at the big picture. And then you were also saying about how um, God is forgiving, and everything. And when it comes to a lot of Republicans or a lot of even I'll say some whites, that it's a thing of, you know, they're not forgiving of things that we do. Look at how they did Marilyn Mosby or was trying to do
Mm-hmm.
her. But you will pardon some other person
Right.
who is sitting here. Um, absolutely, you're seeing this person is guilty of rape. They're guilty of all these things, but you're pardoning them and you're letting them go.
Right.
You have police officers who are not holding up their end and they're knocking on wrong doors and killing people
Right.
who served our country and everything, but you're not doing the same for us.
I'm glad you brought that up because that kind of brings me to my next point of like the having to acknowledge the courage of being in this position because of the fear of retaliation. So I was addressing like, the climate of the state government. Um, but I don't really talk openly about how scared it is to challenge that because they do control all of these government agencies, law enforcement, all of these things. Like, you feel like they're going to find something to get you with. Like, and you probably don't even know you're doing anything, or like Marilyn, for example, Marilyn Mosby, I know for a fact that lady was like, this is my money. I don't understand why
yeah,
I'm getting in trouble about my own money that I have been saving legally. People pull out their retirement accounts to pay for things all the time. Like, it's their saved money. And she's getting like federal charges for that. And it's like she was buying a home for herself and her children. So something like what you think sound, even to the average person, sounds so innocent. Like, you'd be like, what? How did that happen? But we know that if she didn't go after those cops, if she wasn't a progressive prosecutor, like, she wouldn't be going through that. And that's also the fear of black politicians, or why so many aren't as courageous as they should be, is because of the fear of retaliation. Like, I keep a very basic lifestyle, so I just can continue to say and do the things that I do without feeling like I got so much going on, like people can catch me up. Like, because that's a real fear of mine. Like, is like, if they get too mad at me, like, how they gonna try to destroy me or my family.
Right.
And that's why I go back to that question earlier about, black people not putting black politicians on pedestals. They coming for us. Anytime we boldly and unapologetically stand for you in the black community, they're going to come and attack us. Don't join them and help them. Have our back so that we can get more bold, progressive leaders who aren't scared to like push the issues because they know our community has our back. A lot of times when we we once they go after somebody, we want to join in on it. Like, no, like, don't do that. Like, it's a distraction, and you are going to further dissuade good people from wanting to run for leadership.
Exactly. So listen, we have, of course, we're called CAP.
Okay.
Cultivate, accumulate, and prosper.
Okay.
So we do formulate some questions that's pertaining to CAP. And I'll let Jerry go with the first one.
Yeah, I want to ask you, how did you cultivate your education experience to become the youngest female African American legislator in the Tennessee State Senate?
Whew. We technically don't have time for that question, but
Give a
the
short
Cliff
version
Note,
of it.
yeah, the Cliff Note version. That's actually a really, really good question. Truthfully, I don't feel like I actually necessarily use my degree to be a politician. Like, I use it in regards to, like, I know how to understand complex critical thinking on issues and things like that, basic political science stuff, but getting here was about my drive and all the other things that impact your success. What I mean was that, am I going to be the first one to show up? Am I going to take the lead at solving an issue in my community? I built organizations for young people to be involved in politics. I made sure I excelled in my job, went over and beyond, built relationships with people, talked to people, came up with a plan, like all of those things. And I was pretty young to be this innovative. So kudos to myself. I'm very proud of me and how I was able to do that. But I started those things in high school and college. Like, in college, I started a Young Democrats organization while I was there and got girls involved. Replicated that on the city level when I moved back to Memphis from college. Built that up to be an active group. Then became the state president of the Young Democrats. So I traveled the state and the country building my name. Was in leadership in the National Young Democrats organization. So, that was one way of being involved in something that built and seconded my skills as a leader. Make sure I always, put myself in a leadership position. Because when I ran for office, I was able to demonstrate and tell constituents that I have experience leading and serving. I run a college, city, state, and national organization. My education, working in education and women's healthcare, I literally write, defend, advocate, and educate on different policy issues. And I'm able to elaborate those. And those are policy issues that align with the state. I also then, through those things, built relationships with people and marinated those relationships, showed up to events, solved issues in the community. That's what got me to the state Senate. A degree, just having a degree, I don't know, tell young people all the time, just having a degree ain't gonna get you where you are. Like, everybody got degrees now. Like, how are you going to market yourself and legitimately, not just like social media brand and marketing? I'm talking about create a real resume of leadership of work that you've done to make sure that you was a trusted asset. And so before I became a state senator, I was a state rep. So when I got elected at 27, I got elected at 27. I started when I was 28. Yeah, started when I was 28. I lost my job. My boss fired me when I started my campaign for state rep. So I became my own campaign manager. So I emptied out my 401k, the little couple of $1,000s I had saved up from working for a couple of years. I paid my rent up for a couple of months. My mama and my daddy helped pay my bills and everything. And then I had a boyfriend at the time. He bought my food. All basic needs were taken care of, and I became my own campaign manager. I knocked on doors. I came up with the plan. I designed my website. I designed my flyers. I sat there and raised my money because my grind and hustle, I wanted it that bad. And so all them skills from my grandma, from playing, my mama teaching me how to show up somewhere, having those leadership skills, abilities coming into play, those connections and relationships now to people I can call for money. All of those came together to allow me to become state rep. When I became a state rep, same plan. Did that on the next level. And so when the opportunity to come to run for state senate came, I was ready.
Right. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get right on to the next question because we can go.
Right.
But it's something that you said that was just amazing to me because you you did all that. You look at people and it's like as soon as you're getting ready to start doing something like amazing and that you know you are supposed to be doing this, like this is what you're created for. It's something that just little thing. You want to fire me now. And most times people will look at that and it's like, okay, I have all these things that I have to do to get ready for this campaign, and I have no money now because now I don't have a job. So what am I going to do? And they're focusing on that part right there. So it makes you not even focus on because that's a natural
But Erica,
reaction.
let me
You
tell
know
you,
what I'm
I think it
saying?
was spiritual. Like I really
It
feel like
is.
God was clearing out all
That's it.
distractions. He was
That's
clearing out.
it.
He was like, "This is where I want you to be. I'm taking away all distractions. I'm make sure I provide for everything that you need, so that you can focus on where I want you to be."
That's exactly what he's doing.
Hmm.
And it's the interesting part of it comes in is because some of us don't focus on that
Right.
because we're looking at okay, so now how am I going to take care of this, how am I going to do this, and I was listening to you talk and I'm like, God was just setting all these in motion. It's
Hmm.
like he's
For
setting the
real.
stage.
He for real.
That's all
Like
he was doing
yes.
because okay, I'm getting ready for this campaign and then I get fired. Oh,
Right.
okay, thank you.
Right.
Those are the words. Thank you.
Right.
Because if I didn't, then I couldn't walk in all of this that God has for me.
Absolutely.
And for you to actually recognize that, that is that's amazing. Girl, let me go on to the next one.
When he
We
make
gonna
it
get
black and white,
stuck.
you gotta follow it.
You
When you
gotta
hear the
follow
word, you
it.
gotta follow it.
You
Don't
gotta follow
question it.
it
You gotta,
because
and you know
it
too,
was a
Erica.
detour. You know what I'm
Yeah, but
saying?
you know though, like you,
Yes.
like God don't make you confused about it. You know when it's that time to like, let's go. Like He makes it very clear to you. So
Very.
you just gotta lean into it and listen.
Girl, you was saying it. I'm sorry. Whew. Before I go on with this next question, did you have something to say?
No,
Because
I mean you all said pretty much what needs to be said. I get it. It's definitely spiritual that
yeah,
how that led you down that road. And so, and a lot of people don't recognize that they sometimes have the audacity to think that it was just me. It takes hustle, but
Right.
it definitely
exactly.
takes the Lord as well. You got to have your faith and your hustle. They got to be aligned. And that's
Yeah.
with
Faith
anything.
without action is dead.
I
Yeah.
was just going to say
Yeah.
it. He says it all the time. That's it.
Yeah, faith without works is dead. Action works. It is, and I do often say that to folks that I meet, students that I mentor, or even have to remind myself because you can have all the hustle in the world, but if you don't have faith to go with it, you, something's not going to manifest.
And
You
vice
gotta
versa.
have, you gotta have both. So
So, with our accumulate question, I'll make it simple.
Okay.
Okay. What have you accumulated during your role in politics and beyond? Because there is and beyond, honey.
I have gained a new skill set, and the skill set is collective governance. And what I mean by collective governance as a skill set is being able to take all aspects of governing in society and put that together to make it work. So the skill set of being able to take policy, people, processes, strategy, and bring all those together for one goal. And that is a skill that I feel like I've gained throughout the last 10 plus years since I graduated college. And actually, I would say more than that when I started developing in high school. I believe that sometimes who you are now starts then. That I feel like I've gained through those experiences. And I think that makes me unique. And so while I live a simple lifestyle now, I am confident that the day that I do decide to exit politics, that I can go and create a professional lifestyle of mine with a skill set that I feel like one, that would pay me what I owe. And I think that is important that African American, especially African American women who are severely underpaid, demand what they're worth. But secondly, the more latitude I get to do more impactful things once I exit office, because I have more freedom with this skill set I'm very excited about. And I really want to start focusing in on women and moms and babies. You know, maternal health is one of the most passionate policy topics of mine. And I want to be able to one day like really help contribute to solving Black maternal health.
Okay.
It's dope. It's dope.
That very much so. And you said that was what was that word again?
Collective governing.
Collective governing. Okay, I like that. I like that.
And you can do it in any field. That's whatever you're doing. It's just the idea of being able to bring different pieces of a plan together to execute.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, our prosper question, the last part of
Okay.
CAP. The P in CAP is for prosper. How has your experiences been most prosperous? Which of course isn't always money.
Yeah, it's not. Like I will say prosperous, like I am like when people I want people to know this, like I am so honored to one serve in this role. You know, people often takes these roles for granted, but I recognize how serious this role is. And the fact that I'm the youngest woman and the youngest African American to and the first senator to give birth in history of this state. Like that is wow. You know, I have to sometimes like every time I say it sometimes myself, I have to be like, wow, God, like wow.
Did you really do this?
Yeah, yes. And so I'm leaving a legacy. And not just a legacy for myself and my son, but I'm leaving a legacy for Black people and women and moms. And I feel like that's something that's I feel proud of, that I feel like I prospered into. And that besides mom, that's one of the greatest achievements that I could ever say that I've ever done, because it's never happened in history. So, but I shouldn't be the first. I shouldn't be the first in all the 200 plus years of Tennessee history. But I hope I'm not the last.
I hope you're not.
Yes.
I really do hope you're not.
Yeah, that is very dope and inspiring. It's London. So now we're gonna go to the segment of our show where we have a little fun.
Okay, I love
It's called Pick One. I'm gonna start it off, and I'm gonna ask you to pick one between these two trailblazing African American women in politics. And yeah, you just decide to pick which one influence you or which one you lean more into. There's no wrong or right answers. It's just the one that you pick. So I'm gonna start it off. The late Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm or the current Vice President Kamala Harris?
Vice President Kamala Harris.
Okay.
You don't know why?
Yeah.
I think that I align with her on a lot of issues and also how I govern. Shirley Chisholm is bold and courageous, which I do admire that about her. And, you know, what she's done in history is like legendary. But she's very much so more of an activist as a leader. So when I'm thinking about her leadership, when I'm thinking about leadership style, I'm not necessarily an activist. I pop off, but I'm not. I don't want to be put in the category as an activist. I am. I pride myself on being effective. And being a strong governing official, which means I care about getting stuff done. And so I think that Vice President Kamala Harris is a little bit, she speaks out hardcore on a lot of issues, and she's strong and bold, former prosecutor. You know, like she's bad, but she also knows how to govern. She's not an activist. And so I think I align more with her leadership style. When I think about the two of them, but both are phenomenal women that I think paved the way for both me and other Black women who will come after them.
Okay. That was the way you answer that was I get it from your perspective on how you answer that. So yeah, they both are trailblazers. I guess since I'm not in politics, Even though I've had people mention to me about JD, I was like, nah, I'm good on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew stuff about Shirley Chisholm, but then I also watched the movie on
Right.
Netflix, and that enlightened me because Regina King, she did she did a great job of portraying her.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to know even a little bit more about how Shirley Chisholm, what she did back a few years before I was born, because I'm a late '70s baby. But so if I had to pick, I would say her because of that part, that activism part, which I know that's real big. Um, and this is no slight to Vice President Kamala Harris, because she made history by being the first Vice VP. I think sometimes you don't see her as much out in the open about certain things. I don't know, it's because this is how they trying to govern it, because honestly, she's a big reason why Joe Biden is president, like got elected as president.
I think that I'm glad you brought that up because it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like this, I'm not saying this because I agree with it, but I'm just want to
Yeah,
acknowledge what's going on, well, how society works. If she is too outspoken in that vice president spot, like it's gonna be a problem. It's not unknown that black women are silenced, and that if we speak out too much, we become the angry black woman, and if she becomes an angry black woman, that impacts votes.
Yeah.
So if you remember, Kamala Harris was way more outspoken, Senator, DA, state attorney, state AG, and Cali DA than she is a vice president. She definitely doesn't get. She gets a little controversial. She cursed the other day on stage. It was cute. I liked it, but she's not in this role going to be as outspoken and controversial as we probably would want her to, because at what's at risk. It's already a big deal that she became vice president as a woman, but she's also a black woman, and it's just tough because I know that you will want her to be a little bit more outspoken, more that Shirley Chisholm and his attitude, but you can't.
Right.
Like I would probably get more legislation passed in a state legislature if I was a lot more softer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not me. So at the same time, you got to learn how to the collective governance part. You got to learn how to navigate the entity that you in order to get to where you want to go.
Exactly.
But I think that I do think that Biden is in trouble this presidential election. I do like while I don't like neither one of the candidates, but obviously I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's a far better option than Trump.
Yes,
Especially we
he
want to
is.
start that 2025 plan that they put out
Yes,
facing the
me
open.
too.
Like y'all better hold your nose and go vote for Biden. And a vote for Biden to me is a vote for Kamala because I think that she's just as she's a baddie. She's a bad woman, qualifications, intellect, like, it's we gotta make the right choice. The same feeling, my favorite politician in the world is actually Hillary Clinton. Like Hillary Clinton's number one, Barack Obama's number two.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Hillary Clinton is one of the baddest people to ever walk through politics. Smart, intelligent, politically educated, savvy, can fundraise. Like she's about as close to perfection to me, resume wise, that you can get. But look at how the election went. Even when you're the most qualified woman, you got all of these accolades, Secretary of State, First Lady, all of this stuff. You can't be too outspoken or this one thing as a woman, or they won't vote for you. And so don't think that the Biden administration don't remember how the election went for Hillary by being outspoken, strong. And like she wasn't even that like outspoken and pop off that much. She was still very much so eloquent and soft with how she delivers. And that still was too much for people. So I think that Kamala plays the role how she has to because of sexism is real.
I think that in those two choices, if I had to pick one, I probably would have said Shirley myself.
Mm-hmm.
And no slight off Kamala, but what's interesting enough to me is because she has seemed kind of quiet, so I couldn't say as much regarding her, but I learned more. Just like he said, I learned more by watching the movie about Shirley Chisholm. So
I'm
I'm
gonna have
like,
to watch
okay,
it.
this is really a good movie, and it gives us a whole lot of insight about her, her character, how strong she was. So much of this, and I haven't really seen it, but in listening to you talk about Kamala, it's like, okay, and now it give me more understanding to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but in retrospect, I would have said Shirley. Now my pick one
Okay.
is something lighthearted.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm thin, I'm small frame and everything, but I love food. I'm a foodie.
Yes, me too.
Okay, any kind of food.
I'm
I
trying
like
to get these
food.
10 pounds off now from the baby. Woof. These
See,
last 10.
you be trying. People be trying to lose. I be trying to gain, and I've been doing okay. I do okay. Go to the gym and all this. So my pick one. I love Mexican, so I'm going to say Mexican,
Okay.
or I'm going to say Italian. And if it's neither, you can say which one of them it is.
Okay. So my choice is Mexican food. Like, baby, I would eat tacos, chorizo, queso dip, taco salads every day, all day. Chicken, rice, and cheese. Like,
Girl,
one of my favorite
chimichanga.
Mexican restaurants is around the corner from over here off Mill Branch. Like, I love Mexican food. Like, I'm just like, we need to get up, like, let's welcome the Hispanic community and, like, we can find a soul food Mexican mix. And I don't even really like soul food, but we can, like, find out how to, like, incorporate, like, more different cultures into our food would be great.
Girl, what you saying with this Mexican stuff?
I love Mexican food.
We had Coach Lionel Hollins on the podcast once,
Uh-huh.
and he told us about the restaurant
Okay.
Local Lime in Germantown, and
Is it good?
it is. It is.
Local
I
Lime.
went. They have great queso. I've tried the uh, chicken taco. I've tried the steak taco. Our former co-host Shamel said she had tried the quesadilla, and everything I tasted was great. Now
Love
I'm
it.
always gonna love the chicken over the steak, but yes, it is
And
absolutely great.
I love a Mexican food truck off Summer or wherever I see one, I'm stopping and I be counting like, I got about $5 in here and get a couple tacos from the food truck. Food trucks, what's up?
Mental note: food truck on Summer. Okay.
They have quite a few.
Okay.
Mhm. Well, you all is Mexican and Italian. Well, I'm a pivot because that's what I do. I like both of those too, but I love Caribbean food.
Okay.
So you jerk,
So oxtails.
yeah,
I can go for
plantain.
that.
So if I had, that's my favorite ethnic food. That's besides beyond soul food, and then but I do like a little Mexican, authentic Mexican. No Taco Hell, no none of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And then certain, even though I'm trying to cut back on the carbs, but I do like my Italian, like a good lasagna and stuff like that. But if I had to choose, though, I would have to rank Caribbean food, then Mexican food, then Italian food. But I'm still, born in the Chi, raised down south. I still love that soul food. I just try to modify how much I eat of it.
Yeah.
But I still love some good soul food. Sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. That's my favorite potato. It's healthier for you too, but yeah. So
But so overall, soul food is not healthy. You
No,
think?
it isn't. It isn't even the way it's cooked.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times, because sometimes you can put baked chicken in with there, and that's better.
Right.
As far as like health wise, because like even though I'm small and everything, I can eat. People look at you can eat whatever you want to, and I can.
Mm-hmm.
But however, it's not healthy for me. So
Yeah.
I'm going to choose some vegan options. I'm going to choose some things that are healthier over this.
I've been trying to learn how to eat healthier. That's my biggest, like, I stress eat. Do you stress eat? Y'all stress eat?
I wouldn't say I stress eat, but I mean, I will sometimes snack on some stuff I shouldn't, even though I'm pretty good because I go to the gym quite a bit and I love my fruits and stuff, but sometimes when I got a lot going on, I holler at little Debbie and Frito Lay and all that. And so I've been cutting back on that. Because my favorite comfort food though that I call my cheat day is I love pizza. And
Peace on the way.
my some guys who from my alumni TSU black owned spot down off downtown Memphis.
Slim Huskies.
Slim Huskies, yeah.
Lemon Huskies is so good.
They combine both of my two comfort foods, the pizza and my dessert cinnamon roll.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they are so good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in Nashville. They got a little store off is that not Jefferson, Buchanan.
Yeah.
Where they got all the clubs or whatever. And I go and get those cinnamon rolls. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that pizza is good and the cinnamon rolls are good.
Yes.
So
Shout out to Slim Huskies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shout out to Slim
Slim
Huskies. All
Huskies.
right.
Yeah.
Now I can say this and then we'll move on. It's you said you're trying to not stress eating stuff. I would say vegan could help you because you're still able to get a
No
lot
meat.
but it's like different meats actually because they may use walnuts for meat and I've seen videos of how they can ground that and make it look just like
Jackfruit too.
jackfruit is
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
There
I would
is
try. I'm open to
the
trying
vegan
anything.
goddess in Cordova.
In Cordova.
Look her up.
The vegan goddess.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
she's-
Is amazing.
Okay.
Camry, she is amazing.
Shout
that's
out to
when
the vegan goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's when I first tried jackfruit, and it's like everything. I cannot think of anything I have ever tasted that I didn't love, and I get full.
Nice. I'm gonna start. I want to try it for for some time. I may like it and then like never go back. But I'm gonna ease into it. Like try to stop eating pork and beef. Starting off like I love bacon. I love bacon. But I also love salmon a lot too. Fish. So I'm gonna try to cut off like the beef and pork first, because burgers, bacon, things like that, and then
It's a process.
cut off chicken. I'm honestly sick of chicken. Like I feel like I eat chicken, like chicken and everything. I'm kind of sick of chicken.
Alternatives.
And then I probably keep the fish though.
Yeah.
Seafood is my favorite. Like you know what? On a tough day, a seafood bag just makes you feel good. You've got all that frustration out trying to peel them crab legs and them shrimp.
Well, I don't do the shrimp or none of that because I'm allergic to shellfish. But but I'm good on that. But only seafood I do eat is fish, and wild caught salmon is my favorite.
Yeah.
The wild caught salmon or either some
Do you have any
tuna.
advice on how to cook it? Because I had got some, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but like it was harder for me to cook. Air fryer.
Air fryer
Okay.
or blacken in the skillet, just turn it a little bit. But in the air fryer, get that seasoned. I get it seasoned. We gonna do this quick.
Okay, look.
I
I'm
get
with
it
it.
seasoned at Kroger. Tell them what kind of seasoning I want. Normally lemon pepper. Drop it. Then I still put a little bit more. Spray it with olive oil. Spray the air fryer,
Okay.
and then just drop it in there for like about maybe 5-6 minutes. Maybe not even that long. Take the piece just to make sure it's tender enough. And take it out. That's
I
it.
love it. I'm gonna try that.
But
Yeah.
let's get on.
Yeah, so you just had the cat food review. So we're gonna get on to the next segment of the show, the banana peel. And so today we have someone who emailed us, and I'm gonna go ahead and read it to get it started. It says, "I've been dating this guy for about 3 months now. I like him a lot, and he treats me nice, but has a negative disposition for the police due to some unfortunate racial experiences in his past. I'm feeling perplexed because I'm an African-American female police officer, but I told him vaguely I work in law, but didn't go specifically. I understand the many horrible things some police officers have done, but I'm not one of them. Should I go ahead and tell him being hopeful for understanding, or should I just accept the inevitable when I do that, and he would no longer consider dating me? And this is from Tina from Detroit, Michigan. Erica, I'm going to let you answer, and then I will give my take on that.
Okay. Before I answer, Tina, just one quick thing. First of all, if you would like to send your advice to us for the banana peel, you can send them to the CAP Podcast 3 at gmail.com. That is the CAP Podcast 3 at gmail.com. And as you're watching, as always, as you're watching, you see this little red button right there at the bottom. You see that? It's right there. Okay. Click on that. It says subscribe. Okay, click right there on that little red button. Much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so Tina. Okay, listen. I can understand you've been dating this guy and you really do like him. He treats you nice. But here is the thing. It is going to be very important, I would say, to have the conversation. We say this all the time when we do banana peels, but it's important in a relationship. Communication is always going to be so important. So if you can sit him down, there have been times, in a relationship or a guy that I was talking to that eventually there are some things you have to sit down and you have to talk to them about. And if they are literally the person for you, they're going to be able to be understanding to it. But, I understand how he feels about police officers. But in a sense, if you have that conversation with them, you may find that it's these particular police officers that he has had experiences with, but he has also had experience with you too. He's gotten to know you. So just like you really like him and everything, he may be that he really likes you. And all you need to do is have the conversation so you can really understand where he's coming from and he can understand where you're coming from, and you can deal with it and see if it can still be something that can be worked out. But the communication is going to have to happen.
It's good advice, Erica. Basically, Tina, yeah, you're going to just have to just talk to my guy. You're going to talk to him. You vaguely told him you work in law. That's, you just got to be specific and say, hey, I'm actually a police officer. I do understand the dynamics of some things that, unfortunately, a lot of bad apples, more than what they try to portray, have done, but I'm not one of them. And see me for me and not for what I do. And if he really, really into you the way you into him, I'm sure any self-standing, self-respecting brother that appreciates you will understand that. And as long as you understand his perspective, which you've said that, he's had some unfortunate experiences in the past. Police, where quite a few black people have in this country. But you just got to tell them. So and then just before you go, telling him that and thinking with a negative mindset that he's gonna just be diss it or whatnot. You never know. He may surprise you, and he may be like, okay. Well, I'm dating you and not your profession because you are outside of your profession. I hear a lot of people. I know quite a few folks who I went to school with that are cops, and I pretty much for the most part know their character. Everyone don't tie their profession to their personality. Even though we know there was the slogan that came out, "Blue Lives Matter," and combating to Black Lives Matter. I never could understand that because you're born black. You're not born a police officer. That's a choice of a profession. And but there's always pushback when it comes to certain things in our society. But there are plenty of good officers out there, and then there's, like with any profession, there's plenty of officers who are not good people, and they just happen to be in that position. So I would say just talk to him. And I'm pretty sure if he's into you like you're into him, that he will be okay, and you are an example of someone who just does that profession, but your character speaks for itself. So We're gonna let our guest chime in on what she
I was just
thinks.
about to say, can I chime in on that? But I do want to acknowledge first and foremost, and I think I'm gonna take a different stance of saying it. Like, I think that you are going to further taint his perception of police officers. Like, I think, Tina, you are absolutely dead wrong for not telling him up front you're an officer. Like, because like 3 months in and you're still hiding that you're a police officer, like your profession, like that's kind of dating with dishonesty. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can
because
understand
I'm a firm believer, like, give me the choice so that I can make the decision to accept you or not.
that.
Like, it's
Exactly.
only 3 months, and I know I want to acknowledge it's hard out here to find somebody, especially for us women. Like, it's really hard. And if he may be a good guy, but if you really like him, like, go ahead and be honest up front. Let him know what it is. He may not leave you at all. Like, just like you say, he may end up saying, "Okay, well, like you're cool. Like you can, bad apples everywhere." So that I think that Tina, you need to tell him now before it gets too deep. And help rebuild that trust. But I think that you're just as wrong by not telling him up front that you're a police officer. And I mean, his perceptions of police are perception of many African Americans experience with the police. It's not nothing unique. So it's not like, it's not something that I think that y'all can work through. But if he don't want to date you because you're an officer, you don't want him no way. That's not the man for you. The man for you is going to love you, and it could be him. But you got to be honest, because if he wants you, he's going to love you regardless. He's going to work through his perceptions and stereotypes of police to get to a point where y'all can really connect. But let him know, do not be this dishonest this long.
And it's so interesting because I was sitting here thinking, because I can agree with that. And then it's like, I can see how, okay, like, because in the beginning, because I'm always saying, give a person a chance to know who you are, and then they
Right.
can make the decision of if
Right.
they want to be with you or not. And then I also look at the fact of, even though, yes, I agree with you there, she should have told him in the beginning so that he can decide what he wants. But then also I look at the fact that it's still important to tell him now, because when you tell him now, it could just be that you have helped him to see,
Right. Literally.
oh, police officers are not like this because I see who you are. So it gives me this perception. It changes my perception a bit. You know what I'm
Absolutely,
saying?
absolutely. And because it's like, when we think about dating, like especially us women, we want dudes to be honest with us up front, lay out all the things that could be
And we're
potential
not doing
problem.
that.
And then she's in the same position is not doing it. So it's like we go demand this of men, we gotta also demand this of ourselves. So I think that she needs to be honest up front. And then also, hopefully, he's being just as honest with her. Because I know when I'm going to, maybe not the first date, but, like the second or third, you feeling like all right, I have a child, this is my job. Like, go ahead and just put it on out there so you won't catch too many feelings. Because obviously, she likes the guy. Now she's like a rock in a hard place where she didn't have to get this far if she told him up front. And I get it. Sometimes when I meet men, when I was dating, I'm in a relationship now, but when I was dating, like I didn't always want to tell men up front that I was a politician. Just because, like, I didn't know how they was gonna feel about it, people's perceptions of politicians, or fear of like, is he here because he likes me, or did he actually see me on TV? Like, what's their intentions? But most times I end up, if the vibe is going right and you could tell, like, this is someone we probably go connect more often or whatever, I go ahead and tell them out of respect, because I don't want to be somewhere we're hanging out kicking and somebody comes to me, oh, Senator Lamar, like, and he looking at me like, what in the world? So I think that you just got to tell people, and it, they don't want to deal with it, they don't want to deal with it, and give people that option, just like we want men to give us those options.
So there you go, Tina. You have two different perceptions here. Um, of course, it should have been said at the beginning, but now is the perfect time to say it. But definitely do not just just decide, okay, he's no longer going to want to date me, because you never know
Right.
what's going to happen in the end.
I know.
Yep. You all both gave a good take on that, and like you said, definitely it goes both ways. Like women want men to be honest in the beginning. Women got to do the same thing. So whatever led on those first few dates before you reached 3 months and the topic of police came up, should have pulled the band-aid off and be like, hey, this is what I do, and don't be kind of vaguely about you just working law. Because I know if I was dating somebody, I was like, "Oh, you working law? So were you a paralegal? You a lawyer? What part of law?" That's me, but everyone, some folks may not. You got
Yeah.
to be specific. But you know, uh, hopefully that all will work out for you, Tina. So now we're at the part. We've had an amazing episode with I guess London Lamar on here. So we want to give you a chance to let our listeners and viewers know where they can follow you at, what you got coming up next, and anything you want to let them know pertaining to Miss London Lamar, Senator Lamar.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to sit here with you all today and just discuss many topics. Let your followers get to know me for a little bit, but for the most part, I want to leave you with a message of going back to collective responsibility. You've heard me use that word collective a lot, community obligations and things like that. I hope people from my conversations realize that first and foremost, my biggest goal is to help move the Memphis community, Black community forward. And I hope that through my message, everyone realizes that we are all obligated, not choice, obligated to contribute to our progression in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it's financially, physically, through showing up, volunteerism, through activism, through advocacy, or through running organizations, being involved in kids groups like you were when I was growing up, Erica. We like that's important. And I feel like one of the most important things we can do right now is exercise our right to vote. And we're talking about something you can do right now. We have 2 elections coming up this year. Early voting for our state and federal primary and our local general election is starting in July, the middle of July. Early voting starts. Election day is like August 1st or 2nd, something like that. Vote in that election. Very, very important. And this is the election for the primary for a lot of those state elected officials I was talking about in my podcast, in this podcast. And also, I think it's important that we must vote in this presidential election. And like you need to tell a friend, to tell 10, to tell somebody else, they have to go exercise this vote in this upcoming election. This plan that the Trump administration and with this 2025 goal could be so detrimental to the Black community, to the Memphis community for decades, for generations if we don't stop it. And it's not, and in this election, we just don't need to tell people in Memphis to vote. Across this state and across this country, we got to encourage people to vote. We got to exercise our vote in mass, Black folks, young, middle age, old. It's a collective responsibility. So get registered to vote. You can literally go online to register to vote now. Go to the sos.tn.gov. That's the Secretary of State's website for Tennessee. sos.tn.gov. Sit on your phone, go register to vote. You got to register 30 days before the election. So by the end of June, please go online and register to vote. And let's do it, y'all. But if you want to follow me on Instagram at London Lamar TN for my personal page and Senator London Lamar for my political page. Facebook, London Lamar, and Twitter, Senator Lamar. Erica, JD, y'all, it's been a pleasure to connect with you today.
This has been absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And people, if not voting for just for yourselves, vote for people like London's son, the younger children. Think about your kids because we're grown. Eventually, we're going to be gone, and we're going to have to watch what kind of world our children are growing up
Absolutely.
in.
Our kids deserve better than what they're getting right now.
So thank you so much for coming once again. We have these absolutely wonderful segments. Mine is the detour moment, and we have Jerry's brain drop. So I'm going to go into the detour moment for today. I've talked so much about my play Detours 1, Detours 2, the book I've been working on, From Detours to Destiny. And the book From Detours to Destiny kind of stems from a message from my pastor. I get so much from him. Even the title to Detours came from him because that used to be home. But From Detours to Destiny, there was this sermon that he preached once called From Here to There. Sometimes when you're going through the things that you're going through and you're trying to get from point A to point B, we're under this notion that it's going to be like A, B, C, D. It's just going to all just go step by step. And sometimes while that can happen, sometimes it may be A, L, M, N, O, T, and you may go all the way back to A. That does not mean you have to stop. That does not mean, okay, I'm going back here. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. That doesn't have to mean that. It just means that you may have not gotten something along the way. It may be something that God wants you to get here so that you can make it to there. So think about that thing. Don't let it make you stop, but realize it's not going to be all guns and roses. It's not going to be like all peachy keen. You're going to have to step out. You're going to have to make some decisions, and you're going to have to keep on pursuing your dreams, just like LeBron James' son is doing as we begin, and just like Senator London Lamar did. You're going to have to keep pursuing your dreams. So keep going no matter what way it may come out to you guys.
Okay, that was good advice, Erica, in the detour moment. So now for the brain drop. The brain drop for today is live honest or die lying. Let me say that again. Live honest or die lying. You got to be honest first and foremost with yourself before you can be honest with anyone else in your life. You got to be honest with your strengths, your weaknesses. You got to be honest with your fears, your failures, your accomplishments. You have to be honest with yourself. And a lot of people today tend to not want to be honest with themselves. Therefore, it's hard for them to be honest with others, regardless of your position, with work, your relations with family, or being in a relationship. But you have to be honest with yourself. Otherwise, you will die lying. You will die lying to others, to yourself first and foremost, and it'll show. So many people put on a facade because of social media, because of what the perception is of what success should look like or whatnot. And that's just a false reality. And when you do it as an adult, it trickles down to the children because they're only going to mimic what they see. So once again, I say live honest or die lying. And you don't want to leave this world having led a lie. There's no God in that. There's no honor in that. So just keep that in mind. That's the brain drop for today. It's been a pleasure having our guest, London Lamar, on here. First political guest we've had on the CAP. It did not disappoint. We thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
And to all our listeners and viewers out there, once again, if you need someone as a speaker, as a life coach, at the bottom of the screen, you can reach me on my Linktree, linktree.jerrydavis. Also, I'm available to speak on any panels or at any ceremonies you may have. So definitely look me up for that. And, you can reach me on social media on IG under Life Coach Jerry Davis, on Facebook under Life Coach Jerry Davis.
And also, you can also look me up under E6 Coaching and Consulting on Facebook, Ephesians 6 Productions on Facebook, and of course, Erica Jackson. And I am the same on Instagram, email Ephesians6pro@gmail.com, or you can book me at www.eph6productions.com for speaking engagements and coaching as well.
So this concludes this episode of CAP. Like I always leave you with, if you're going to be anything in this life, be for real. This is JD
And this is Erica.
signing off. Peace.
Bye, y'all.